the L's that kick us in the balls, and we look back and go, if you're pointing fingers at other people, then you're completely missing the point of what losing's about. It's not the other person's fault. You have to look yourself in the mirror, and I tell my kids this, the older ones today, that, if you can sit down in your locker and actually think, did I play the best that I could possibly play today? And you left it all out on the field every single day, then you're doing the right thing. Welcome back to Kaizen Kast, Small Steps, Big Changes, episode 4. Today's episode, I'd like to speak about how sports actually made me the person who I am today, and actually how it broke me to the person who I am today. That is really what I've been focusing on over the last two and a half years of my life, trying to really figure out, because I truly believe that sports is a huge part, and for me anyways, in my life, that made me the man who I am today. And I think there's a lot of young men and young women out there that'll appreciate this, that when you play a sport, you become, I think you're born with a competitive nature, but it also can be taught to a level that, teaches you how to want to compete and how you want to win. I just had it to, like everything else I do in my life, to the extreme. I never, ever wanted to lose. I wasn't a great loser. Actually, I was a sore loser, to be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. And I didn't lose too much from my youth days to my high school days to my college days until I got done with college baseball. And that was in all sports. I was blessed enough to play 3 sports, but baseball was my ticket to college. And, looking back on my youth sports, I really thought about this just over the last couple of days, how I was always in the finals in Little League. I was always in the finals in basketball, flag football. No matter what I was playing, I felt like I was always on top. And in today's world, I honestly, looking back now, that was not healthy. None of that was healthy. Not that I shouldn't have been winning, but I needed to learn how to lose. And that's what I think the difference is today, who I am today versus who I was, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Because when I look back at my youth sports, not only was I winning, but the times that I did lose, I was a sore loser. And I would blame somebody else and never take accountability for what I did wrong on the game in whatever sport I was playing. We had a lot of success in junior high basketball. We went undefeated for 2 years in never losing a game in basketball. That's ridiculous. I don't care what level it is, to do something like that. Go on to play in high school basketball. We ended up going to the state finals my junior year. Baseball, we were always competitive in the States. Had my own personal accolades throughout sports. And looking back, once I got to college, I promised myself that I would start all 4 years there, and I accomplished that. But doing it in a way where I would self-destruct a lot, because I didn't know how to control my emotions. I didn't know how to control my anger, because I used anger as a motivation, but it also destroyed me. It truly destroyed me. And I'm learning now at 52 how I'm supposed to really deal with this, because I've trained my brain to worry about what other people think, and then when they don't agree with me, use that as fuel to beat them. And that's not really how you can be the most successful person, because you shouldn't base success on the wins and losses you have against others. It's how you handle, I truly believe, how you handle the losses more than you handle the wins are easy. Those are easy, because you know you played well, you know you did everything perfect, or or at least tried to do everything perfect, and you still came up with a W, right? We try to stack the W's. It's the L's that kick us in the balls, and we look back and go, if you're pointing fingers at other people, then you're completely missing the point of what losing's about. It's not the other person's fault. You have to look yourself in the mirror. And I tell my kids this, the older ones today, that, if you can sit down in your locker and actually think, did I play the best that I could possibly play today? And you get left it all out on the field every single day, then you're doing the right thing. But that doesn't always happen. And then what do we usually do, especially the world we live in today? We rather point the finger at somebody else and not take accountability for our actions. It's very, very frustrating, and it's self-destructing. And that's really what I've been thinking about over the last couple of days. And that's why I want to get this message out there, because sports itself is an amazing thing. And like I said, sports made me who I was or who I am today, but it also broke me to a point where, again, when I didn't get drafted, and that was the first disappointment I had in sports, a major, major disappointment in my life, my world came crashing down on me. And I look back on it, and what did I turn to? Alcohol, anger, opioids. I mean, you couldn't ask for three of the worst things to have in your life. And then on top of it, thinking that money was going to fix all that and make me feel better. And none of that was true. None of that was true. What makes me feel better now is that I'm still here on this earth, being able to tell my son, who is going through a similar situation. My oldest is so much like me. He's a hell of a competitor. He's a winner. He's a 3-year captain, playing baseball right now. And, he was a little bummed out he didn't receive individual awards. And I could see the anger in his text. I could hear it in his voice. And that's why I'm still on this earth, to give him guidance, because that's exactly what I would have done as a child or as a young man, is been so angry at the people. Why didn't they vote me in? Who gives a shit? He's done amazing things this year. Absolutely amazing. His ERA was under 1 for 95% of the year. His strikeout to ball rate to walks is almost 6 or 7 to 1. That's incredible. So if they overlooked him, who cares? That's somebody's opinion. That means they're not like mine and they saw something. And this is the thing that I could never get past my head, this thick skull of mine, because I would always be like, well, that guy had it out for me, or this guy didn't like. What we have to realize is, fuck what everybody else thinks. Fuck them. It's not their life. This is our life. And this is one of those things that I know that's why I'm still on this earth, to teach my kids this. Because if I wasn't, my oldest son would have fell down the same path I was. I'm not saying that he would have did the ridiculous things I would have did. He has more self-control and understanding of how to handle himself a little better than I did in his early to mid 20s. But I still worry about that because he is my son. And I do think that, you can go down that path because of the things that he loved to do the most, which was play baseball. And I just literally said to him today, I was like, that doesn't define you as a person, as a man. All those other things that you're overlooking, you're not looking at the big W's. Or, I'm sorry, you're not looking at the small W's. You're looking at the big, you feel like the biggest failure, like I did with not getting drafted. This is not a failure. This is just another step in life that you're going to have to overcome, because we have to do that every single day for the rest of our lives. Life is not smooth sailing. I know it looks like that on Instagram and TikTok, and everybody's got the fancy cars and the big houses and the perfect tan and the beautiful girlfriend or the beautiful wife, but everybody has troubles. And that's what I missed as growing up as a young kid, because my life was pretty damn good. And I didn't have any major failures to learn how to deal with them the right way. Because my life, I won a lot. I won a real lot. I won more than most would have won in their whole lives at a young age. And that, I think, is what hurt me. And now I'm starting to realize, God, I'm telling my 10-year-old now that, you know what? You're not supposed to be the best player in Little League. Do I want you to be the best player? Of course, I'm going to be the best in everything he can do. But if you peak in Little League and you're the best player, guess what human nature does? You end up getting a little bit lazy. You start reading the press clippings about how good you are. Everybody comes and pats you on the back and tells you how great you are. You let your guard down. It's the guys that are grinding every day that actually, and it takes them a little bit longer. I guarantee you have some of the guys in the big leagues, were they the best little leaguer? I'm sure a lot of them were, but there was a lot that were not. And I think I would much have rather taken that road, the type of person I am, to say that, here's the thing. Those failures that I could have learned from at a younger age, I would have dealt with this process a little bit better. And I think I would have worked a little bit better on my anger, and that would have helped me throughout life. And I've had this feeling of anger for so long that it's just ingrained in my head, and I'm working really hard on getting rid of it. It's not easy, but that's one of those things there where it's a work in progress. And I know that I'm supposed to be here to help others with this. And I think one of the reasons why I'm here is because through sports, there's so many people that go through these trials and tribulations in their life where sports may end. Like I've said this in other episodes, sports may end when you're in Little League. It may end in junior high school. It may end they call it middle school now, sorry. High school or college or even pro ball. And then you have to basically redefine yourself. And you're not just this super athlete anymore. And I think that's where people kind of get lost. And some people handle that perfectly. And they're like, well, I know exactly what I want to do right after I'm done playing pro ball. If I don't make it to the big leagues, if I do make it to the big, I know exactly what I want to do right after college. I'm going to become, a doctor. I'm going to become a lawyer. But I think there's a lot of people out there that when sports was their life and it stops, they get stuck. And then they turn to things that will, I think, self-medicate their inner feelings of how to cope with this stuff. And I don't know what the percentage is. I'm not a doctor. I always tell you guys this is just my thoughts and how I feel as a person. That I think there's a lot of young athletes out there that are going through this, or at least have felt this, and still do the woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I lived an unbelievable youth, teenage year, into my college years. Amazing. I wouldn't have been in college if I didn't play a sport. So I'm blessed about that, but I'm telling you that sports and baseball in general, it made me, but it also broke me. And I think there's a lot of people out there that have that same feeling. And I would love to help people deal with that. And just by talking to them, because I've been there, and I know now that it builds up inside of you. And then what do? You turn to alcohol, I shouldn't say never, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that actually turn to the gym. I just never did. My anger took the best of me, and I went right to Wall Street thinking that making the most money was going to be the best thing ever. And I should have turned to the gym, and I should have turned to meditation, and I didn't know how to deal with it, and I didn't want to hear it from anybody else. I didn't want to hear it from my mother, my ex-wife, any other friends. I didn't want to hear it from not a single person because I didn't think I did anything wrong. And that's at fault too. And this is why I'm here, because I teach my kids that accountability is huge. Well, I'm taking accountability for all those mistakes that were made along the way because of I didn't have inner peace with myself. And I should have, because I ended up having a tremendous college career. Just didn't get to my next level of goals. And then I quit on myself because I allowed my ego to get in the way of, well, going to independent league ball. I'm not going to play it. Why am I going to do that? And I wasn't fully into independent league ball because I was so angry that I didn't get drafted. And that led me down the path of screw baseball. I hate it. I don't know why I ever played it. My kids will never play this game. That's where I was at that point. So that's what I mean about how sports in general, like baseball, it made me who I was. And then it broke me to that point where I couldn't even stand to even look at it and didn't want my kids to play it. Now you come full circle, and three out of the 4 boys are playing baseball right now, including my 10-year-old. And that's why I always tell them, you're going to have to work at this game because it's a game of failure, but I don't want you to be the best little leaguer flying to Texas, Arkansas, or wherever they fly, and they play in these big tournaments. Those kids are blessed and they're doing a fantastic job, and I hope they all make it to the big leagues. I just want him to enjoy life as a kid and get better each year. So by the time he gets to high school, he's going to be ready to go in high school, and then he'll be blooming in high school and then into his college years. And then we'll see where baseball takes you. Because truthfully, the Little League diamond doesn't mean anything anyways. I've told people that over and over again. It doesn't matter until you get to the big diamond. But you do have to put the work in. That is no questions, no ass. Another big problem that I had, and actually I still have it, to be honest, is I always worried about what people thought of me and not worrying about what I need to do to become a better person, to become a better player, I would always look back and be like, well, why didn't that guy want me on his team? Or why didn't I get picked for that? That's just the wrong way to look at life. And that's what I was just telling my oldest son. I said, don't worry about what other people think. Worry about how you feel on the inside and control that. One of my good friends, and I've said this in other episodes, control the controllables. You can't control what other people think about you. Not everybody's going to like you. My wife tells me that all the time. Not everybody's going to like you. I want everybody to like me, but it's not going to happen. It's just part of life. And she's like, 1 million people like you, but there's 1 million people that are not going to like you. And that's one of the things that I'm also working on, and I'm trying to teach my kids. Don't worry about outside noise. You have a small circle that absolutely loves you to death, and those are the people that you have to worry about proving right and making that purpose your only purpose, really. And then the other stuff falls into place. And if you fall short on some of your goals, it doesn't mean that you had a horrible career. It doesn't mean that you had a horrible business career or sports career. That doesn't. It's just, okay, you didn't reach that goal. That's okay. That's all right. There's time for improvement. When people say no, I'm starting to learn that no is okay. I actually like that. That means we can fix it. We can make it better. No, they didn't. Oh, you didn't get the job? No, that's okay. We're going to get better at it. That's the only way that I see how life goes. Instead, what do most people do? They complain about how that guy got the job and I didn't get the job, or I didn't get picked for this team because whatever the reason, that guy didn't think I was good enough. Too bad. Who cares? Move on. You have to let stuff roll off our backs. And that's one of the things I wasn't very good at. I took a lot of stuff personal, and I think, and again, I don't want to speak for my oldest son, but he is my son, and I know he has a lot of my traits that I honestly feel that he he has that happen to him too. But I just told, I want you guys, everybody, to understand this. My older son has overcome so much adversity that he's my idol, truly. Because, like I told you, the biggest disappointment I had was Major League Baseball, and it ate me up for 30 years. 30 years. This kid has overcome so many different things in his life, and he's a 3-year captain. He's doing amazing things at his college, and but he has my personality where he wants to win at everything and be great. And I love that, but I also need him to have inner peace, which I never did. I don't know why, and I still struggle with it. You know, I never. I tell my wife all the time, I wish that I could just be able to enjoy every minute of the day, and it's hard for me. I don't know. My brain has been taught that I'm motivated by people speaking negatively or telling me I can't, and then I have to prove them wrong. Everything in my life is proving somebody else wrong because, people told me, oh, you weren't going to play Division I baseball. Yeah, okay. It's not happening. I knew in my heart that I would get it done, but I would use that as fuel, but it was anger. And I shouldn't be angry. That's their opinion. I shouldn't give a shit. If my dad told me that I couldn't play Division I baseball, that would be a different story. But people that I didn't really know or that were jealous of me or never really saw me play, and they were saying that I couldn't play, or saw me play a lot and still thought I couldn't play Division I baseball, that's their opinion. Who gives a shit? And I used to wear that, but I use that as motivation. So I think there's a common, if you could do both and understand, and again, that's where I think the disconnect was for me. When I didn't get drafted, the part of it that hurt so much is because I never lost. And I had no one ever, the people that did say no to me, I proved them wrong. And then this time, I had no one else to prove wrong. I couldn't prove anybody wrong because they had said no, and then that baseball was over. Now, I guess probably what I could have done is worked harder instead of sulking and being angry and telling them I played 4 years here, did this, did that. That doesn't matter. I still didn't get drafted. I still didn't get my opportunity. So I guess I could have dug a little bit deeper, but I was too busy with self-pity and anger. So I try to teach, and that's why I keep saying this over and over again, that I'm here for a reason, because I know my son deals with the same thing. And my youngest son, birth son, has a different mentality that I need to drag a different piece of me out of him. And it's more about his confidence, about him knowing he should be playing I always didn't care how good or great the other person was. I was like, I'm going to be better than him. Even if the guy was 100 times better than me, I was like, I'm going to be better than him. Now, my youngest doesn't have that feeling. He always just puts himself down. So I have to be here to bring him back up. And my oldest is just like me. He's the same way, but he competes with anger, and it fires him up. It fuels him. But I wish that he could have a little balance, and he does a better job than I do at it, of course, because I have no balance. I had no balance in my life for many years. Like I said, anything I did, it wasn't just, we're going to have one drink. I had 30 drinks. We're going to have one pill. I would take 6. Again, don't know why to the extremes, but that's just the way my brain works. And I really, really want to help people, because I know there's people out there, especially young athletes, that are going through these same situations. And I think that being able to talk about stuff is the most important thing. And most of the time, as an athlete, or maybe not even as an athlete, might not just, I'm using that from my own personal experience, that you eat things, you leave them tied up in your stomach, and then you just let it fester. And then that's when you start leading down the road of anger, let me try, have a couple drinks. You think drinks makes it feel better, but you're just numbing a problem that's going to come up again tomorrow. Till you start dealing with yourself internally, it's never going to change. It's never going to change. So I'm really looking forward to next episode, because I'm really excited, because we're going to have our first guest on this episode, and he's a retired Major League Baseball player, and he's a really good friend. And I'm not going to divulge his name, because I'm going to leave you hanging on the edge of your seat. But I'm really looking forward to next episode. Thank you again for listening. Please follow on our social pages, and thank you again.